Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Once again, we are here at the Dargah of Maulana Nazim, Rahmahullah alayh, and we have got the company of his grandson Mehmat Nazim, and we are going to be asking a few questions for our guidance. Thank you very much for giving me time from your time, and I'm really honored to have this time from you. And I met you yesterday as well, and because of your busy schedule, I couldn't have the company of you to ask you a few questions. So this is an opportunity that I'm going to ask you a few questions about the system. I have met so many people from around the world, from America, from Germany, from England, and many of them are converts, and they are living here, and they have gave bay'ah to this tariqah, Naqshbandiya. And it's an astonishing reality that when I speak to them, they are really humble, and they are really in a state of self-negation that it has surprised me. I have spoken to people from Panama, and the people who have been here for many years, from maybe there are a few more than 40 years that they have been here, and they are here. And I'm really honored to meet all of these people to have met. And I wanted to ask you what makes them to be connected in such a way that they just stay connected, and everyone is saying like they have got a pull, like a magnetic pull, like towards this place. So if you can shed a bit light.
It's not about the place, it's about Maulana Sheikh Nazim. He had a very strong spiritual presence and spiritual power. So when people met him, he met all the people from different races, different religions, different backgrounds, and he addressed them in a way they needed to be addressed. So he would talk to anyone according to their level, and he would find what was missing in their lives, what they were needing, and then he would fulfill this in these people. So when this was fulfilled, they kept coming back, because it made them happy. So like you said, people here, they were humble. The Sheikh taught us to be humble. So if we were not humble, he wouldn't like it. So I'm not claiming to be humble, but you met our other brothers.
Another thing I saw with them, that whenever I talk to them, anybody, if I was talking about their humbleness or things, most of the times they were in negation. They say we are trying ourselves. This is one thing. The other thing is, most of them are saying that the life they were leading before, it wasn't a very good life. And ironically, those people, everybody is saying that we had a life which was straight, like we were not on the right path, and we have become on the right path. And we have
the thing is, the Sheikh has tolerance. He never judged people for what they did. He judged them as human beings, and he valued them as human beings. So through this tolerance, many people came. Like you were saying, they were leading a lifestyle which was not Islamic or in straight path, but with the tolerance of the Sheikh, they managed to come to the right path. So when you come from a background which was not good, and you find the right way, I think it's a good way to start humility and humbleness. So it's the tolerance of the Sheikh which brought them. So I think they also practice this tolerance. And tolerance comes from humility, because when you tolerate, because Allah Almighty is tolerating all of us. We are all sinners. Everybody makes mistakes, but yet He tolerates and forgives. That's why we keep going to His door. So that attribute, tolerance, is beginning of humility. So the humbleness comes from this. So these people saw what the tolerance of the Sheikh did in their life, so they are trying to practice this tolerance.
Very good. Because most of them are saying that our life was something else, and now it is completely different. And there is another thing. I've seen one like in the spiritual world, in the ancient way of living, like people used to go to the Sheikh's places, they used to stay there, and they used to have food and everything, and they used to stay. Nowadays, because the lifestyle has changed around the world, and this way of practice of spiritualism where they are staying at the Sheikh place, having the food overnight, and how is it possible? Because it seems as if the traditional Islamic spiritual has been kept the way it was, like we hear about 700, 600 years ago. How in this time and age exactly the same thing is taking place?
Alhamdulillah, Maulana Sheikh Nazim, he laid a good foundation, and he entrusted his son Sheikh Mehmet to continue. And I've been here also quite a long time, maybe 10-15 years. I was serving my grandfather right next to him, so after him I still continue my job. So when there is nobody, I lead the prayers and the zikr, and I make sure this place continues as it was before. But Sheikh Nazim was a very traditional man also, so he didn't like using technology, he didn't like the modern lifestyle, so he insisted on this. So this is what he saw from his Sheikh in Damascus, so he applied it here. And regardless what happened, he never stopped practicing what he believed. So that's why we are continuing on his, because he laid the foundation for this. He built the building on it, so we are just running the building. We are doing the easy job.
How do you find yourself, because you have had their company while Sheikh was physically around, and you have had very few good years, and I bet that you were at a very young age when you had their company. How did you find them, their personality, their way of life? And
like I say, he was very tolerant man. He tolerated everyone, and he was very humble man, but not humble in words, but on his living also. He never liked luxury. The house and the room he was living in was same state as for 20-30 years. The furniture were old furniture. He really didn't like having new furniture, and many people came wanted to improve this, but he would refuse. So he was practicing humility on himself first, and then that's why people were also attracted to him. And he had a good sense of humor. He would make people feel at ease. Whoever came to his presence, he would joke with them, and he would talk simple things just to break the ice and make them feel comfortable. So when this comfort happened, so people could communicate with him better, so they could ask their questions to him, and they'll get good answer, and they'll feel like he's their father. So if you ask all the murids here who have met him, they would tell you that he was like a father to us rather than a sheikh. So he was very merciful, very tolerant, and very caring for the people, and he had empathy. So when he was talking to somebody, regardless who he was, child, elderly, normal person, he would give his 100% attention to that person, and he would make this person feel like that person is the most important thing for the Sheikh at that moment when they were having conversation. So he will make people feel special, and he will genuinely care about them. Nowadays you see many people acting like they care, but in reality they don't care. They act like they are caring because of some benefit, maybe financial, maybe some kind of benefit, but the Sheikh genuinely cared about the people. So this was very impressive. That's why he is until today very much loved. And people who have met him, for them he did not pass on. He still lives in their memories, in their heart. So whatever we do, we always remember him, and there is always, whatever action we are going to take, there is always some wisdom he showed us, and there is always some speech he gave us which would still guide us until today, which he passed away 7 years ago. And his wisdom and his talks still guide us until this day.
Yeah, because this is another amazing thing for me, because most of them who say that they were in another part of world and they had some sort of vision or a dream and a sign to come here, and then they searched and then they came here. And it's so amazing in this day and time when they only passed away a few years ago, 7 years ago. And in this day and time, the things that I have heard from the people, it's astonishing, like as if I'm reading a spiritual book from many 100 years ago. And these people are still around and they are saying these things as if it is a normal reality of life. So this is amazing. And even I see them, they are here as if he's still around. Like their presence or not physical presence hasn't made any difference, because they are still with the same love, with the same content.
It's like their first day, they're so excited to be here.
Yeah. And this is
but this is a spiritual presence.
Yeah.
So this, you cannot explain this. I see many people throughout the years that they came here just by a dream, who had nothing to do with here, and ended up being followers. And they received invitation through dreams, and even after he passed on, this, like we say, still continues, and people come and they get the same spiritual benefit from him. This is his spiritual power. This is a gift Allah Almighty granted on him, which still continues until today.
How do you find, I mean, their physical presence while people were coming, and the treatment and the magnetic pull that they had? Now that the responsibility is upon the son and the grandson, and you have got an important role yourself as well, because when you are here and people, what do you think, would it be easy for yourselves to carry on with the mission of serving the humanity?
We can carry on the mission if we know it's coming from the Sheikh. And it's coming from Allah. As long as we know that we are nothing, and we act like we are nothing, we can continue serve with ease and pleasure. But if we decide to think that it's because of us or it's coming from us, that day we will be ruined. So the way these things work is humility, and we have to know that people coming here, they're coming for love of Sheikh Nazim. So we should be aware of this. So anything good we can do, we should know that it's coming from Sheikh Nazim, not from us. But if we do something bad, we know it's from our ego and ourselves. So as long as we have this thinking and belief and actions, we can continue serve. But if we forget about this, we will be changed, we will be sent away, and somebody else will come and carry the responsibility.
How can one, the self-negation, going against the nafs, it's almost an impossible phenomenon for a human being. How is it possible? I mean, this is something...
It's a struggle war every single moment of your life. It's a jihadul akbar, like what great Sufi saints said.
And what makes it easy? How is it possible?
It's never easy. So even for the Sheikh, for Awlia, it's not easy, but they manage to overcome it more time than they don't. So we are following the guidance of our Sheikh, and with his guidance, it is helping us with this struggle. But if you ask me if we are succeeding it, I don't know, I don't think so. But the thing what our Sheikh taught us, it's an impossible war to win, but at least fight that war. Instead of surrendering, just keep fighting even if you lose. So that fight will help you to improve.
What things are helpful in the struggle? Because I've heard a Sheikh saying that digging a mountain with the nails is easier than going against the nafs. So what are helpful things?
First of all, most important thing is knowing yourself. Nobody knows themselves. What we know about ourselves is what our ego is telling us, that we are perfect, we are good, we are doing very well, everything is okay. So we should try to know our true self, our bad attributes, our bad deeds, and what we are doing wrong. And when we realize this and we start criticizing our actions and looking at the events through third party eye rather than yourself, this helps you to understand your weaknesses. So when you understand this, you can work on them. But if you will succeed or not, like you say, it's a very difficult objective. It takes lifetime, and that's the difference between angels and mankind. Angels are not given ego, whereas man has been given ego. So the man who can overcome the ego would be much higher station than angels. Because angels are created by the will of Allah Almighty to serve specific purpose, and they do zikrullah. And they don't have ego, they just created to follow the command of Allah Almighty. So they don't have this whispering we have to change their mind. So that's why they are angels. But for us, any following the order of Allah Almighty is a struggle. Because there is the ego and there is the shaitan also, which is whispering us not to do what is the right thing. So this started from day one with Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. Shaitan tricked him. Allah Almighty gave him everything. Out of everything he said this small tree is forbidden. He went and Shaitan convinced him to go and take it. So we have this temptation. So when we are fighting this struggle, it's a different to win, but just fighting it makes us much more valuable, much more higher station than angels. So that's what the Sheikh are teaching. That's why Allah Almighty sent the prophets. The prophets guided people on the right way. And after the prophets, the last prophet is our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After him, he gave this duty to the saints. So the Sheykh of the tariqah are doing what the prophets used to do. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the ulama of my nation is like the prophets of Bani Israel. So they are, the Sheykh are doing the duties of the Prophet, but they are not prophets. They are following the way of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and their objective is to guide people on the right path, help them to fight their ego.
Also, with regards to, I've read in a book of Sayyid Usman bin Ali Hajwiri, who is in Pakistan, a great saint.
I've been to his maqam.
And they write in their book, you have been to Pakistan?
Yeah, I was there in 2019.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
I've been to Lahore Data.
Lahore, yes. So they write in their book that when Allah blesses someone, the very first thing in the sign of Allah's blessing is that the faults of his nafs are visible to him, and he starts seeing his own faults, and this is the beginning of the blessing of Allah. But how to come under the umbrella of that blessing? I mean,
the thing is, following a sheikh is very important, because until you meet a sheikh, you believe your ego believes that he is superior to everyone. We have this superiority complex. So each one thinks that they are better than the other one. We never think that we are lower than the other one. But once you meet a sheikh and you give your bayah to him, and you decided to follow him, this would be first time in your life that you are actually acknowledging that somebody is better than you. Actually, this is when the struggle of nafs begins, because after you have the sheikh, first time you realize that your ego is not your friend, he is the enemy. So there starts the real fight. Before that, he was inside you, he was the enemy inside, but acting like a friend. But the Sheikh, the presence of a Sheikh, exposes the ego, the reality of the ego. And then the fight starts. That's why it's important to acknowledge this, because you acknowledge the superiority of your Sheikh. It's the first step of accepting, because when you accept your Sheikh as your superior, it's easier to come the chain. Then you accept the superiority of the Prophet, then you superiority of Allah Almighty. But we all say we believe in Allah Almighty and the Prophet, but how much do we believe what they say? We accept his superiority, yet we commit big sins every day. Everybody commits sins. But with this accepting the superiority of the Shaykh, you start that training, that you go to a station which you are truly accepting superiority of Allah Almighty. So it's the first step.
So we can say that the guidance of a Sheikh will take you from nafs amara into nafs lawama,
Yes.
where the fight and the struggle will start, and through that we will know ourselves. And
we will start to know ourselves.
But the thing is, in here there is another thing. Majority of the people I have seen in the life, like they know, like you said that they know about Sharia, they know about the presence of Allah, everything. But why this reality is not triggered in their lives before meeting a Sheikh? Because you only start to understand in reality the Islam and the real essence. How does it work? Because I've seen people self-aware after seeing a Sheikh. I've never, very rarely I've seen big alams who are on the stage, on the masnad, they are delivering, but their acts are different than what they are saying. And how does it happen? How this is for many people, it's an amazing dilemma, that how a person all of a sudden changes.
This is a secret of a Sheikh. We cannot really explain this.
Yeah. Also, I have heard about in the spiritualism the third eye. In Western world, they say the third eye, where you have
the heart,
the heart, the eye of the heart. That it's and this is in, I think it's called Milladunka Rahma in Quran. It's been mentioned. And how what are the ways or the struggles for someone who is following the Sheikh to be on the path to open the heart's eye? Or
usually I always say these things come as a gift. So the most important thing when you meet a Sheikh, the thing we want is to be able to worship Allah Almighty without interference of the ego. So this would be a highest station. So we want to worship Allah just because we love Him and He is the Creator. So this is the absolute goal. So anything else saying, oh, I do this for opening my third eye, or getting better place in so these things are not good on the path. So we just want to worship Him because of love. So because He loved to be known. That's why He created the creation, because He loved to be known. So if we our aim is to fulfill this one. So we want to do worshipping without expecting anything, any reward. Because when you do this, whatever He decides to reward you, He will reward you. But we should not worship for the reward, or we should not avoid committing sins because of fear. Just we should be fear of making Allah Almighty sad with us. So this is the most important thing that we learn from our Sheikh. So we don't really focus on any methods to improve this one. We just try to improve our nafs. So we come to, when we pray for Allah Almighty, that there is nothing between Allah Almighty and us. Because most of the time ego interferes. Or what they say, we want to pray because we want to worship Him because we want Him to give Jannah. No, we just want to worship Him because He's ordered and this is what He wants. So best thing is not to expect any reward of what you're doing, but open for whatever He is willing to give. That's why the great Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani is one of the biggest saints. Until now he's very, very popular. People, what they say, especially in Pakistan, he's very much loved all over the world. One of the interesting things he said, if Allah Almighty addressed him, "Oh my servant Abdul Qadir, you will be burned in hell," he said this would be very happy because Allah Almighty addressed me as a servant. So this explains a lot of things. That the essence of it is the servanthood. So this is our objective. So on the path to the servanthood, maybe Allah Almighty gives us with the third eye, the openness of the eye. Maybe He rewards us this when we are in the grave, maybe in Day of Judgment, but maybe in this life. So we don't put any method or system for it. Some of the Sheykh brought some methods, but this was their inspiration and which worked for them only, and they were just sharing the experience. It's not necessarily, it won't necessarily work for us. So that's why on our path we recommend people to focus on servanthood to Allah Almighty rather than the other things.
Because I have seen, especially in Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, or Bangladesh, those areas, many people come to this path for the search of a station, for the search of something
This is not good.
Supernatural, and down the line in few years, because their intention was to gain something, they said no, this wasn't for us, and then whatever they were already doing, they even lost that thing as well. And this is a big dilemma, this is a big problem in the terms of spirituality, because we hear the stories in the books and we read the stories and we want to be a part of those stories or to be known as that. And I've seen many people being off track just because of that desire which was not fulfilled. So as you have very clearly and openly said that one should be serving the Allah rather than being stationed somewhere else, and with the love of Allah, in the way of Allah, just loving Allah. So this is a really good reality that many people don't know. When they think about spirituality, they are thinking about something which is supernatural, and this is a lot
this
more.
This is big ruin for people.
And what's the suggestion?
The suggestion is don't expect anything, just love of Allah Almighty. If you want to, just focus to love Allah Almighty, just to be on the right path. Love of Allah Almighty and the love of the Prophet. This is, if you want to do something, do for that love, not to expect anything. Don't love Allah Almighty to give you money or to give you station. Just love Allah. Look at our Prophet ﷺ. He had the most difficult life. He was orphan from both sides. He never met his father. His mother died when he was 6. Then his grandfather died when he was 10. And it was a life of struggle. And he is the most beloved to Allah Almighty. And he never asked anything. Whatever Allah Almighty was giving him, ordering him, he just fulfilled it. So this is a great example for all of us. Allah Almighty is not Allah Almighty is the creator. Is beyond anything. So it's not you can bargain with him. I do this for you, you do. There is nothing you give which is beneficial to Allah Almighty. You cannot add anything to him. He's already great. What you do will not make him greater, or what you don't do will not deduct him. He is who he is. So just to do things, just to please him without expecting anything, he would grant everything. In this path, you can get everything by being nothing, or you can lose everything by trying to be something.
One question which is always there, most of the people in terms of Jabr and Qadr, when they are talking about the destiny, when people achieve some rank, they say because they struggle, they work hard for it, and they reach this place. So do we say in the path of Allah, things are destined for you and it comes as an inam or as a gift, or do you really struggle in terms of your freedom of choice?
The prophecies are given for certain people as a prophet. And some saints also are given ranks like this as a gift. They were destined. But most of the time, Allah Almighty give these saints one opportunity or one test. So if they manage to pass it, they get what they are meant to get. So if they fail, maybe it will take them more time, or they will lose the opportunity. So it's a complicated topic. It's not necessarily just you will be given. Maybe you will be given, but with some responsibility, or this is between Allah Almighty and whoever He is giving. But on the matter of the prophets, they were from day one. They were born as prophets, and they were destined to do it.
Because when they say Inam Talehim, when we say in Surah Fatiha, so then in another ayah, the Siddiqeen, Anbiya, and the people who were gifted, this is one, and then we ask Allah to take us on the path of the people who have been blessed upon, or the Inam, the people who had the gifts. We always seek this guidance. And one, because what happens, there is a clear difference. Sometimes people say, oh, this is the will of Allah, because prophethood is obviously the will of Allah, and some of the wilaya is the will of Allah, but there have been people who struggled, and then they were gifted. But even that struggle, the intention of the struggle is from Almighty, and because of that, some of the Sufis are insisting, or they say that this is just the will of Allah. No matter how you get something, it is the will of Allah, and your own efforts are meaningless. How do you see that?
In some cases it's true, but then in some cases it's the opposite. I don't think I see this as a dominion of Allah Almighty, so I rather don't make any assumptions, because it's something we would never have answer.
Of course,
so the thing is, Allah Almighty is great. He can do what He likes. He doesn't have any restrictions on Him. So He can grant somebody everything because just He wants to. Or He can grant somebody nothing. This is what He likes. So it's a complicated subject with not much of a clear answer. Because it's, like I say, it's a dominion of Allah Almighty. So I rather not go into that dominion.
Also, I have...
but one thing about what I saw from my grandfather, and I read about the saints, that they have this station, but they're in constant test and struggle to keep it, because they are perfect in holding their ego and keeping that control. But it's also a struggle for them. So what I observe, that struggle is, and always winning that struggle, what makes them great. So that struggle is all part of their journey. Because at the end of the day, no matter how perfect they are, Allah Almighty says in the Quran, خُلِقَ إِنسَانَ ضَعِيفًا. So we created mankind weak. That's what he says. So no matter how perfect they are, there is weakness. And that weakness is the difference between being the creator and creation. So what is created must have, even the most perfect of creation must have a weakness. So what makes them special is that struggle that we are having, we are losing most of the time. If there is 100 struggle we have, maybe one time we overcome it, and 99 times we fail. On the Sheikhs, it's that they always win that struggle, but sometimes that struggle puts them in difficult situation also.
Yeah. Also, this might be the last question. I've taken a lot of time of you. I see a link in the Nashbandi tariqah of Maulana, and also there is a link towards Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi rahmatullah alayhi as well, from the family lineage.
Maulana Sheikh Nazim, his maternal grandfather, he was a dervish in Mawlevi order, and he was a big poet, a very famous poet, one of the last poet in Turkish Cyprus. And his great grandfather he was a descendant of Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi, and Maulana's grandfather from the father side, paternal grandfather, he was a follower, also authorized in Qadiri tariqah, and he was a descendant of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani. So that's why Maulana Sheikh Nazim, even though he was a Naqshbandi Sheikh, he had great love and sympathy for both Qadiri way and Mawlevi way.
One last, an event that between you and Maulana took place, and you would like to narrate it here, an event or a happen that took place and you always remember it from their personality.
There is many of it, but I can't say remember a specific event, but what I say, he's, like I say, I already mentioned, he's the careness and the love he had for people. Like one specific thing that which impressed me very much, that he would always look good part of the people. Even somebody, he always believed that people, even the bad people, have some goodness in them. So he would find that goodness, and he will ignore the other bad qualities, and he will focus on that goodness to fix the person. So instead of criticizing his bad behavior and offending him, he would praise his good attribute. So he would always look for good in people. So I think this should be a good lesson for most of us, because all of us, we like to criticize people, we look for an excuse not to like people. So it's rather we look at their good sides rather than their bad sides.
One last thing, that this was obviously the ending line, which was really beautiful. So we will almost ending our interview. If there is any message, anything.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
you are
you.
our guest here. You're doing a good service for the refugees, and mashallah, obviously you have much love for tasawwuf and the saints, and you are visiting as much as the maqams you are doing. This is a very good thing. One attribute of a Sufi is a traveler, so you are a traveler also. And inshallah, the job you are doing may benefit you, your children, and your family also.
Thank you.
Allah bless you.
Thank you very much.